Hi, I am Todd Gentry, and I'm the CEO and founder of HyperBorean. And our company is helping our customers to cut the power cord on their air conditioning. We have developed an air conditioning compressor that operates off of no cost sources of heat rather than from electricity. And the idea for this was actually born during a previous startup where I built and exited an internet service provider business. And while I was in that business, I became fascinated by one of the least obvious yet biggest challenges of operating a data services company. And that is keeping all of the electronics that are required to move the data around the planet cool. The equipment that you see behind me in those two photos are two huge air conditioners. And because of the cooling costs associated with all these little equipment huts and shelters, I started to dread the monthly utility bills that would come in on these shelters. And that helped me to realize that part of the issue was that these huts are chocked full of electronic equipment to generate heat, and all that equipment has to be kept cool to operate. But when I looked around the industry and saw that I had a very small issue compared to those who have maybe 75,000 air conditioners each and every day grinding away, it made me realize that there's a big problem, and I had the tools to help solve that problem. So we became involved with developing the air conditioning compressor that replaces the electrically powered units that are seen here on these buildings. The idea is that the savings from this quickly pays for itself, and I really thought that that was going to be one of our big selling points for our customers. But as I started talking to many of our customers, I began to realize that something that they placed even more value on was the fact that if the power fails at any of their remote sites, they have a big problem. And that is that their backup power sources have to run not only the electronic equipment that's critical to their business, but they also have to run these air conditioners. And that really saps the available runtime of these backup sources because there's finite amount of battery power or fuel. So by providing them with some off-grid air conditioning, we actually solved two of their big pain points. We've solved the cost problem, and then we've also given them a lot of site resiliency, which again, they appreciate as much as the cost savings. We've actually reached some significant milestones. We're about $175,000 off of completing our current funding round. We've recently been awarded $192,000 in grant funding for the through the Cal Test Bed program for some really great testing at the Western Cooling Efficiency Center. It's one of the preeminent air conditioning labs in the country, and we have about 2 months worth of very rigorous third-party testing that is paid for through the Cal Test Bed program, which is going to be a huge benefit to us as we begin our pilot projects. The company owns 100% of its intellectual property. And speaking of interesting milestones, just Monday we were notified that the PCT examiner for foreign filings has seen 0 issues for all of our claims. In other words, they've said 100% of your claims are grantable, which was a huge step, and our patent attorney was just literally jumping up and down with excitement from that. Apparently, it's a fairly unusual status. In addition to the filings around the compressor, we've also got filings in the works for a very unique solar harvesting system, which eliminates the need for tracking. So that will be added to our IP within another 2 to 3 months. We've got some pilot programs pending with a lot of great logos. These all start in 2021. Most of these, again, are in our beachhead markets of mobile telecom, utilities, and cable. And we've got some great support and help along the way, including Pax Momentum, Clean Tech Open, Blue Valley Ventures. It's been a tremendous benefit to us just with the amount of ecosystem support and all of the things that we've learned through all of these relationships. A little bit about the unit economics. The objective is to pay back all of this equipment within 2 years based on energy savings. And that is doable through as little as $200 a month in savings based on typical pricing for these installations. And in terms of what that means to the company, we have basically the economies of scale of the entire HVAC industry in our favor. We're able to drop these compressors into nearly any standard HVAC system, which means that all of the other parts that everybody else uses, we use. And so we get those economies of scale, and it allows us to be very cost competitive and to maintain some great margins. Our team is fantastic. Most of them are PhDs out of UT Austin. Most of them are contract. Two full-timers are Patrick Hosty and I. And we have additional team members that will be coming on board in 2021 as we begin to enter our beachhead markets. Speaking of those markets, they're massive. Telecom alone, 500 million, cable, all of them are very substantial. We're also working on a couple of introductions to the military, which I think have some really cool opportunities for us as well, especially in austere operating conditions. So what we're working on now is finalizing the last $175,000 of our seed round. What that will allow us to do is to become laser focused on getting these first units out the door on schedule in 2021. And we've just had a soft commitment, so we're up to, we're at $175,000 now as of today. We would actually love to have you join us as we kind of introduce some much needed changes into the HVAC industry and also provide tremendous value to our customers. I'd love to chat with you some more in the breakout room. Again, Todd Gentry with HyperBorean.
Great. Thanks, Todd.